What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement and welcome to the RS Dynasty channel. I'm Ron, and every year we get a Dynasty landscape shifting event in the NFL draft. Rookies get landing spots, veterans get displaced, and what that causes is massive divides among the consensus. And now that we have a few weeks of Dynasty Data Lab ADP from startups happening in May, we can then leverage our own ranks against those to get some of the biggest value gaps we can get over the entire Dynasty calendar. So with that being said, we talked about our buy candidates last week. Today, we're going to talk about 7 players I would be looking to sell ASAP in my Dynasty leagues. As always, if you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. And the first player we will talk about is Kyren Williams. Now, he is ADP's 47th ranked player as the RB11. He is my 71st ranked player as the RB16. So I am 24 spots lower than consensus about, and I am 5 spots at running back lower than consensus. And again, if you want access to my entire rankings, my full rankings with my buy and sell candidates, trade targets, that can be found over on the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. And then for ADP, of course, we are using Dynasty Data Lab. Now, why am I that much lower than consensus on Kyren Williams? It's because the general public is much more optimistic with these day 3 running backs. And we're going to have a bunch of running backs in the same category. Drafted on day 3, they escape the NFL draft unscathed, and they become a priority target in Dynasty, viewed as a young ascending asset, right? Kyren Williams here from the Keep Trade Cut screenshot, 24.7 years old, RB12, and seems like he's on this trajectory to be a top 12 running back in Dynasty for a while. But I would push back on that, because these day 3 running backs, they don't stick around for a while, and they scare the hell out of me. There is no floor with these day 3 running backs. We can look right now through a day 3 running back's first 38 games. Kyren Williams has played 38 games so far, and this is since 2010. Day 3 running backs and their PPR points through their first 38 games. You have Chris Carson, then Kyren Williams, then Aaron Jones and Devonta Freeman, Jordan Howard, Alfred Morris, Ramondre Stevenson, Tariq Cohen, Marlon Mack, Andre Ellington. It's pretty good. I would say Aaron Jones is the peak here, but very rarely do these guys stick around for a long time. Of course, Aaron Jones did, but outside of that, you could look at Chris Carson, who went on to play 16 more games after this sample. Aaron Jones, again, is the bright spot where he had 3 straight top 12 finishes after his first 38 games. But you can go on to Devonta Freeman, who after his first 3 seasons, right, that's where Kyren Williams is now, he really didn't do much. This is a screenshot from Player Profiler where he was, the RB1 in points per game, then the RB7, then he was the RB12, down year, RB19, down year, and then out of the league. We're already 3 years through Kyren Williams' career, and this is usually where things start to go south in terms of these day 3 running backs. You can look at Jordan Howard. He never had another season of 10-plus games played. Alfred Morris, his first 3 seasons had, amazing peaks where he had 1,600 rushing yards as a rookie, and then he was never better than the RB58 in points per game after that. Then we saw this with Ramondre Stevenson, where he was a top 12 priced running back in Dynasty, then top 24, and now the Patriots come out here and they draft Trevion Henderson. So Kyren Williams is tough for me. Maybe he's Aaron Jones. Maybe he's one of these day 3 running backs who sticks around for a long time, but with Aaron Jones, he was one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL. Kyren Williams, on the other hand, last year, 27th in rush grade, 42nd in yards after contact per attempt, 35th in yards per carry, 50th in explosive run rate, 40th in missed tackles forced per attempt. So it's tough for me to buy in to a day 3 running back who is volume dependent. He's not this Aaron Jones, hyper efficient pass catcher, guy who scores a ton of touchdowns in the same way with explosive plays like Aaron Jones was. He's more of just a volume sponge. Now, maybe you're saying, oh, well, what about undrafted free agents? Of course, you have Arian Foster. I'm not putting anybody next to Arian Foster, right? You look at where Kyren is, 557 PPR points. Arian Foster was at 760 through his first 38 games. But then after that, you have James Robinson, Phil Lindsay, we've seen go to the wayside, Austin Eckler, but he's another Aaron Jones, hyper-efficiency pass-catching running back. Then C.J. Anderson, Matt Breida, Isaiah Crowell, Joique Bell, Jalen Warren, LeGarrette Blount. I don't know, man. It's just very rarely do these guys stick around the league for a while. We're already 3 seasons into Kyren Williams' career. And with Sean McVay on this Rams team, he moves on quick. I looked at the top point per game running back by every season of Sean McVay's career. You had Todd Gurley for 3 straight seasons. Then, before Todd Gurley even hits 26 years old, we're on to Darrell Henderson. Then Darrell Henderson 2 years. Then Cam Akers 1. And now we're 2 years into Kyren Williams' career. So maybe you get another year of decent 15-plus point per game season. But we are seeing as well that the Rams want to go in another direction. They drafted Blake Corum on round 3 last year. Then in this draft, they take Jarquez Hunter. And we keep getting quotes like this. We do think the way this NFL season's going, the amount of wear and tear that goes into playing running back, that having a committee and a committee with different skill sets only helps us continue being able to run the football like we want to run it. Then you also have Sean McVay envisions a little bit more versatility in his 2025 offense and notes how impressed he was by the variety of personnel groupings and runs in Liam Cohen's 2024 Bucs offense. And the reason why that's a big issue is because Kyren Williams scores points off of volume, not efficiency, right? He's not Devon Achane. He's not Bucky Irving. So if we start to siphon away volume to Jarquez Hunter, to Blake Corum, all of a sudden Kyren Williams is now like a 15-point per game running back drafted on day 3, and he's not worthy of a 4th-round startup pick in my eyes. Again, guys who are going to produce similar to him is a guy like Christian McCaffrey, or if you want to go later than that, you can go all the way down to James Conner. I'd rather, could I do Kyren for James Conner in a first? I would love that. Kyren for Christian McCaffrey and a little piece on top. And again, these other, lateral type moves. Or if I could use Kyren to get into Trevor Lawrence, I would love that as well. In my leagues, I have him in a few spots. He's brutal to move in analyst or Patreon leagues, where I've offered him straight up for Luther Burden and have gotten rejected on that kind of deal. Now, our next sell here is, again, this genre of running back. Day 3 draft pick, seen as a young, ascending running back. But again, these day 3 running backs don't have high floors. They don't stick around for a while. We're now heading into year 3 of Chase Brown's career. And I would just rather take his dynasty value, move it elsewhere. And if I want near-term production at running back, which is what a day 3 running back is offering you, I would just rather James Conner, Christian McCaffrey, somebody in that value tier. Now, in terms of his ADP right now, he's going at pick 58 as the RB16. He is my 73rd ranked player as my RB18. So I have him about a tier lower than where consensus has him at. And this is where he's going across Dynasty ADP. He is going right behind Christian McCaffrey. You can tier up to McCaffrey, tier up to Quinshon Judkins, Trevor Lawrence, Trevion Henderson. You can even tier down to Caleb Johnson and RJ Harvey, guys with legit draft capital that are also going to be fighting for top 24 finishes this year and have a much longer runway of value insulation. So if I'm on the clock and I can trade Chase Brown straight up for like the 111 to take RJ Harvey and you want to fill a need at running back, I would absolutely love that. Now we look at Chase Brown in terms of where he's on pace at this point in his career. He has played 28 games. Here are your day 3 running backs with the most PPR points through 28 games. Again, outside of Kyren Williams, it gets really shaky, right? Where then it's Jordan Howard, Chris Carson, Alfred Morris. It's the same list every time. Devonta Freeman, Myles Gaskin's a name, Jay Ajayi, Isaiah Pacheco, who Isaiah Pacheco was in the same spot like 1 or 2 years ago where he was a top 12 rated running back in Dynasty, day 3 pick, was seen as the Chiefs RB1. Everyone wanted to have him, and then all of a sudden he is now in the RB20s. He's like maybe the Chiefs' number 1 running back, and they didn't even draft a good replacement. It's just these guys, they just don't really stick around a long time, right? Dameon Pierce is also on this list. Elijah Mitchell is also on this list. And with Chase Brown, he's again in the similar Kyren Williams bucket of a volume sponge, but not an efficiency running back, where last year he was the RB9 in expected points per game, so tons of volume, but 29th in rush grade, 25th in yards per carry, 20th in yards after contact per attempt, 27th in explosive run rate, 27th in missed tackles forced per attempt. There's really nothing special to his profile besides taking on a ton of volume. So if you want to bet on the Bengals running back 1 in redraft, I think you can go ahead. But doing it in Dynasty, I think, is a mistake because you're just drafting him for this role. He's going to be the RB1 on the Bengals, but he's 25 years old. He's heading into year 3 as a day 3 pick, and he's probably not going to last for a while, right? You're going to look ahead to next offseason. He's going to be valued less. And I just think for a guy that you probably got in the 3rd round of your rookie draft, I just think now is probably a good time to cash out. Right? I just don't know that you need to roster players like this again. I think you can just cheap down to James Conner. You can go down to Christian McCaffrey. Can you just use Chase Brown to get RJ Harvey? I would love all of those moves. And I've even traded off of him as just can I, grease the wheels and get back a random 2026 first for him, which I was successful with here when I just sent Chase Brown, JJ McCarthy for the 105 and a 26 first. So somebody that I'm putting in the back of deals, somebody that I would love to just do straight up for rookie picks. I'm looking to get out of the day 3 running back business, especially when they survive the NFL draft and get a slight value boost. Now, our third sell here is actually Devonta Smith. I'm not that far off consensus here, but I just think from a team construction standpoint, it makes sense to move off of Devonta Smith. He's going to be turning 27 this year. He is ADP's 59th ranked player as the wide receiver 20. He is my 60th ranked player as the wide receiver 24. So 4 wide receiver spots lower than consensus, only 1 spot lower than ADP, but still, to me, he's somebody that is a sell. Because when we look at wide receivers who are 27 years old or older, the highest ranked wide receivers on Keep Trade Cut, you have A.J. Brown at wide receiver 15, DK Metcalf wide receiver 25, Terry McLaurin wide receiver 29, and now you have Devonta Smith at wide receiver 19. I think very clearly, even if he has a strong season, where a guy like Terry McLaurin last year had a strong season, he falls in Dynasty ADP, or he didn't fall, but he's still hovering around like the wide receiver 30 range. There just comes a time where if you aren't Tyreek Hill 20-plus points per game, you're going to fall to wide receiver 25, wide receiver 30 in Dynasty, and that is where Devonta Smith is kind of fast-tracking towards. We're being at 27-plus. He's going to be in that DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 30 range, and I would just rather get out now than get out later with Devonta Smith, where you can see in terms of his production, like he's just sort of capped out at 15 points per game, which is fine, but I don't think paying wide receiver 19 in Dynasty for somebody whose absolute ceiling is 15 points per game is all that smart, right? 15 points per game in 22, 14 in 23, and then 15 again in 24, which again is like all good and well, but I want the upside to pop off for 18 plus points per game like T. Higgins just did, right? With Devonta Smith, you have A.J. Brown there. He's always going to earn more volume than Devonta Smith. And then you have Jalen Hurts, where they have ranked 32nd, 23rd, 21st, and 32nd in pass attempts for the last 4 years that Devonta Smith has been there. And that's just not enough for Devonta Smith to give you meaningful production past 15 points per game, which again, for his price tag, it's just not enough. Right now you can see where he's valued at on Underdog, and all of these guys that I'm pointing to with the green arrows are projected to score in a similar range to him, right around that wide receiver 25 area in redraft, but these guys are all much cheaper. Devontae Adams is cheaper, Mike Evans is cheaper, DJ Moore is cheaper, Courtland Sutton's cheaper, Calvin Ridley's cheaper. All guys who are projected to score in the same range as Devonta Smith. And if we look at his per route numbers, they're really not all that special either. Where if you compare him next to Jalen Waddle, you compare him next to Nico Collins, it's really not that great. Now, I will say I don't have the screenshot pulled up where I would like it to be, but we're going to pull it up here in a second. Here it is. This is wide receiver career numbers, which I think is fair, right? These guys are all about 4 years into their career. They're all still in the prime of their lives at this point. Devonta Smith, 13.8 points per game, the highest on the list, or tied for the highest on the list, but 1.9 yards per out run, bottom of this list between Waddle and Nico Collins. 20.3% targets per out run, bottom of this list. 8.9% first downs per out run, bottom of this list. So he's just like not a superior talent. He's just like this high floor player. And I think as he ages, he's going to move from wide receiver 19 down to wide receiver 29 rather quickly. So I'd rather just get out now than getting out later. And similar deal in terms of Jordan Addison when we look at per route efficiency. He is going ADP's wide receiver 24 as pick 72. He is my 76th ranked player as wide receiver 28. Why that took a crazy amount of effort to get out of my mouth, I do not know. But despite being like not that far off of ADP, there's still players you have to rank a certain place where you do agree where they're ranked. But I would still rather, even though I'm not that far off of where the market has them, I would still be looking to sell if I could, because it's not even so much the market's too low on this guy or the market's too high on this guy. It's just from a construction standpoint and where his value is headed, I would just rather get out now on Jordan Addison. He is 23 years old, but you look at his career numbers versus these other guys like Puka Nacua, Rashee Rice, and Jordan Addison, 13.56 points per game is really strong. But his yards per out run, 1.61, is almost the lowest on this list. First downs per out run, 7%, is the lowest on this list. His efficiency and his targets per out run of 17.7% is all super low despite his points per game being high. And the reason why his points per game is so high is because he scores so many dang touchdowns. He is one of 5 wide receivers over the last 2 years with 20-plus touchdowns. It is Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jordan Addison, CeeDee Lamb. You tell me who sticks out as out of place among that list. Now, if we look at this chart here from Ryan Heath, you can see the middle column is the metrics year-over-year correlation to itself, stickiness. And in terms of touchdowns, when it comes to wide receiver stats, it is one of the least stickiest stats we have. Right here, touchdown has a 0.5 correlation to itself, whereas you can see other stats like fantasy points per game, 0.78, receiving yards per game, 0.78, first downs, 0.74. So touchdowns are random. They're all over the place. And when Jordan Addison is bad per route, but his points per game is carrying his dynasty value, carrying his perception around the league, that's what I want to get out, because everything else we measure, right? First downs per outrun, yards per outrun, targets per outrun, right? How is he efficiency, target earning, moving the chains, and being a positive impact on your offense? He does not look good in any of those metrics. So now we have rookie J.J. McCarthy. We have Justin Jefferson next to him. We have T.J. Hawkinson, who hasn't really been healthy since he's been on the Vikings, all back in the mix. And to me, I just think now is a good time to sell on Jordan Addison, because once those touchdowns run out and he gets down to like 11 points per game, people aren't going to be as stoked. So I would love the idea of, if I could sell him high, I would, as like this young receiver that's not giving you a huge, value over replacement for what his price tag is. Can you get Jordan Addison, Herbert, and a second for Jaden Daniels? That's just like just using him as a throw-in to tier up. Like, I don't know that trade actually works. Maybe make it a 26 first instead, but can you use Addison to tier up, right? This would be using Addison to add to Herbert to tier up to Jaden Daniels. Can you do something similar? Can you add Addison to, I don't know, can you add Addison to Tua and get to Drake May if you add a first in there? I'm not sure. Addison for any future first I would do, right? A 27 first, a 27 first, yes. And then Jordan Addison for 108. If I can do Jordan Addison for any pick on the board that has a Emeka Egbuka still available, I would take that all day long. Can I take Jordan Addison, add it to the 106, move up to the 102, and get Travis Hunter? I'd be doing moves like that if I had Addison, just to kind of grease the wheels in a tier up. Then our fifth sell is again in the same category as Chase Brown and Kyren Williams, Chuba Hubbard. He is ADP's 77th ranked player as the RB21. He's my 88th ranked player as the RB21. So I'm about on market in terms of where he ranks among the running backs, but about a round lower than where he's going in startups. And here's the issue. He's, again, a day 3 running back who won the NFL draft. The only running back they added was Trevor Etienne on day 3. But you have this situation where instead of like Chase Brown and Kyren Williams, who are third-round picks on Underdog, you then have Chuba Hubbard, who's a fifth-round pick on Underdog. So now we're not even really getting somebody that is this massive, piece that's like a contending piece going to help you win. He's projected to be about as impactful as a Calvin Ridley or a Jordan Addison on your team. So at that point, he's not even moving the needle that much. And again, when we have a day 3 pick who we know don't stick around long in the NFL, and he is a 5th-round pick in redraft. He's projected for like 15 points per game by Mike Clay. He's just not moving the needle. And if I could tier down to, again, I keep saying it, but if I can just tier down from Chuba Hubbard to James Conner or any of these dustier running backs like Aaron Jones, I would take those values all day. I've sold Chuba Hubbard myself, where you can see I sold Chuba Hubbard in the 104 for a 26 first, a 27 first, and a 2026 second. Just getting future draft capital on a team that is tanking. He's somebody where, as well, if you're a tanking team, Chuba Hubbard has to go. He's the RB21 right now. He's going to be, turning 27 next offseason. It's going to be, I don't know how he makes a profit on that value. I would sell for any first-round pick at this point, which is pretty crazy. You can see he goes here for, Chuba and a 2026 third for a 26 first. Chuba for Matthew Golden. So that's Chuba. I would sell Chuba for up to the 203, right? So 203, 202, 201 in terms of this class. You could get, Matthew Golden, Luther Burden, Jackson Dart, Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey, any of those guys I would take over Chuba Hubbard. Then our next sell is Zach Charbonnet. It seems like he gets hype every offseason as like, oh, could this be the year where he passes Kenneth Walker? I would just rather sell on that hype. I'm not a big fan of rostering expensive handcuffs, which is what Zach Charbonnet has become as the RB27 in Dynasty, despite not being the RB1 in his own backfield. He's ADP's 119th ranked player as the RB32. He is my 139th ranked player as the RB37. So I'm about 20 spots lower than consensus, 5 running back spots. And you can just get similar profiles again of handcuff running backs with upside, several rounds cheaper in terms of Tyjae Spears, Jalen Warren, Najee Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, Rachaad White, Blake Corum, Braylon Allen, Ray Davis, all of these type of guys, Jalen Wright, that I would just rather have than Zach Charbonnet. And this is a team that fired former OC Ryan Grubb, and it seems like they want to run the ball, establish the run through Kenneth Walker, right? McDonald, he hyped up Kenneth Walker all offseason, and then it seems like they didn't stick to the plan that he wanted to kind of set forward. Where if you look here from Coach Speak Index, last year they said, like, we're going to be a physical unit, we're going to run the football, we want to have answers for the quarterback. I know it's kind of coach speak, but it needs to be an efficient unit. We want to possess the ball. We want to obviously be explosive and not turn the ball over. So he wants an explosive run game, a good run game, and then they hire Kubiak to be a run-first coordinator, right? Or with the Saints, he was very run-heavy, play-action heavy, and it just seems like they wanted to have this style of offense through Kenneth Walker. This is an excerpt from Jacob Gibbs, I believe. The real winner, if he can stay healthy, would appear to be Kenneth Walker. Alvin Kamara was ripping off explosives in this run design earlier in the season. His explosive rush rate under Kubiak was his highest since 2020. For his career, Walker has averaged 4.4 yards per zone rush, compared to 3.8 yards on non-zone rushes. He's been at his best on outside zone runs, averaging 4.7 yards. In 2024, Kubiak ranked third with a 46% outside zone rate. For his career, Charbonnet has just a 3.7 yard average on outside zone runs. On non-zone runs, 4.4. His collegiate data tells a similar story, where this new Kubiak scheme, zone, outside zone heavy, heavily favors Kenneth Walker. So if Charbonnet is just a handcuff, I think RB27 is just probably too expensive for somebody that, again, like, can you just tear down to Rachaad White, a very similar profile of a guy where if the starter goes down, he is a three down workhorse, similar to like Ramondre Stevenson as well. And in terms of trades that are happening in real leagues right now for Charbonnet, you have Anthony Richardson in a fourth for Charbonnet in a third. I love just getting some upside at quarterback with that kind of move. Charbonnet for any future second, sign me up. Can you do Charbonnet in a third to get into that 201, 202, 203 range, which again to me is like I think that's like the golden era, because you're still paying a second price, but you're getting players who I think are first round worthy, in whether that is Matthew Golden, not Emeka Egbuka, but Luther Burden, RJ Harvey, Jackson Dart, that like tier of player. Now, after that, we have Tucker Kraft. Now, before we get into Tucker Kraft, I do want to let you guys know the only like advertisement I have for this video is that I am looking for summer help this year in terms of hiring people to do some summer jobs. Now, I mentioned this a few weeks ago. We've gotten a bunch of responses. I'm going to look through them after Memorial Day weekend. So we have this weekend, and then on Tuesday, I'll look through them all. I'll get back to you guys, and we'll start to make some moves here this offseason. But I want to do a last call. If you were thinking about signing up, if you were thinking about reaching out, whatever, do that now. I have a Google form that I will have in the description and the comment section down below. What I'm looking for this offseason is I would love a website, right? Somewhere to house my rankings instead of Google Sheets. Graphic design, which would kind of just help with that area of things. Or if I ever need like an overlay or a graphic, I would love to have some kind of graphic design help. Video editing. This wouldn't be every single video, right? This video I'm making to you guys is one take. It is me just throwing up graphics on the screen, but there's some videos in an off season, especially in the summer, that are more high effort, right? Whether that's like a double hero RB draft strategy style video, or something where I film something more in person, like the fantasy football draft party I did a couple years ago. I would love to have somebody on a per project basis who is really good at editing, like very, very good. So if you are an editor, you can reach out there. And then merch. This is like very much on the back burner, but I've had questions all the time of like, Ron, when's merch coming out? We've done one merch drop ever, and it's really just because the logistics are super tough in terms of finding somewhere that has quality shirts and then getting them manufactured and like shipping them out to you guys, and it's just like a whole logistics nightmare. But it'd be cool for brand building. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you check it out in the description and the comment section down below. Again, this is the last call, and then on Tuesday I'm going to look through everything, get back to you guys and all of that. And thank you to everybody that has already filled out the form and wants to help out in any way they can. Now, our last sell candidate here is Tucker Kraft. This was a last-minute add to the show sheet and outline. I added it after I talked with a good friend, Bindles. He has a best ball channel. He's a member of the Patreon. He's somebody who commissions the most recent Patreon startup we did. And he floated out Tucker Kraft, and he was somebody for sure that I had thought, because we've talked about tight ends a lot. We talked about Dalton Kincaid. We talked about David Njoku as a buy last week. And Kraft is almost like the anti-Njoku in a way, where he does fit in that Kincaid Pitts area as well of tight end who's not projected to score a ton of points, but is young and holds dynasty value because of that. And my biggest take when it comes to tight ends is I don't want a tight end unless if you are a rookie with high-end draft capital, right? So like Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren, those guys are fine to hold on to. But Tucker Kraft now heading into year 3, year 4 here, going on 25 years old, which isn't crazy for a tight end. I just mean he's no longer this super young ascending guy. Now he's just in the prime of his career. He's fine. They add Matthew Golden. They add Savion Williams. There's just a lot of targets in this offense, a lot of people to go around. And I just think you can get his production for much cheaper, right? He's projected in Mike Clay's ESPN projections for 9.4 points per game. In the same value tier on Keep Trade Cut, you have David Njoku projected for 11.6, and you have Mark Andrews 10.9. Evan Ingram, who's cheaper, for 10.1. Travis Kelce, who's cheaper, for 10.9. Jonnu Smith, who's cheaper than all of them, for 10.5 points per game in terms of projections. And Tucker Kraft is projected for 9.4. The cheapest tight end on this list is Hunter Henry, projected for 9.1. So I just think that it's a really inefficient use of your dynasty value. I'd rather just tier down to a cheaper tight end, get the same production, or tier up to Kyle Pitts and actually spend big on elite tight end production in your dynasty league. Some trade ideas here you can see. These are real trades from Fantasy Calc. You have Tucker Kraft and Gadsden for Jerry Jeudy. I'd be fine with that. Tucker Kraft in a 2 for George Kittle in a 4 all day long. And then Tucker Kraft showed up for Josh Downs, any wide receiver in that tier of can I do Tucker Kraft for Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft for Josh Downs? I would be fine with all of those moves. Now that is going to do it for us today. That is 7 sell candidates in Dynasty Fantasy Football right now. If you want access to my complete startup rankings with my buy, sell recommendations across the board for every single player, that'll be on the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. But if you can't support there, leave a like, subscribe to this is a new channel, RS Dynasty. I feel like I should be saying that more. Subscribe here. This is where all of my Dynasty content will be moving forward. I did want to say again, I say this in almost every single video that we've done on here, but thank you guys so much. Every video we've posted on this channel has done over 10,000 views. We're at 3.5K plus subscribers. To do all of this from a channel starting from scratch is truly amazing, and I can't thank you guys enough. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.
Stones, like this froze, ice cold, oh, oh.